It's time once again for what's becoming an annual event for me. I'm going to take a look at the Goodreads Choice Awards for the science fiction category for 2025. So this is books voted for by the good citizens of Goodreads, science fiction books, allegedly, that were published during 2025. So it's been interesting for me to just think about whether there's any that I like the sound of, if they even seem like science fiction. And in one or two cases, I've come across something that I really like the sound of, and I've subsequently bought and potentially not yet read myself. That says more about the state of my TBR than it does about any particular book. And then some of them just sound ludicrous and not even slightly science fiction. So we're going to do the same again. So the poll results were announced by the time this video comes out, probably a week ago. So at number 20, bringing up the rear, is Luminous by Sylvia Park with 2,087 votes. And this I happen to know was one of the 5 books that Adam Roberts called out as among his favourites of 2025. So the Goodreads Choice Awards are damning it with faint praise here, putting it at 20. So what's the story with Luminous then? In a reunified career of the future, robots have been integrated into society as surrogates, servants, children, and of course even lovers. Though boundaries between bionic and organic frequently blur, these robots are decidedly second-class citizens. June and Morgan, 2 siblings estranged for many years, are haunted by the memory of their lost brother, Yo-Yo, who was warm, sensitive, and very nearly human. June, a war veteran turned detective of the lowly robot crimes unit in Seoul, becomes consumed by an investigation that reconnects him with his sister Morgan, now a prominent robot designer working for a top firm, who is, embarrassingly, dating one of her creations in secret. Kinky. On the other side of Seoul, in a junkyard filled with abandoned robots, 11-year-old Ruiji sifts through scraps looking for robotic parts that might support her failing body. When she discovers a robot boy named Yo-Yo among the piles of trash, an unlikely bond is formed, since Yo-Yo is so lifelike. He's unlike anything that she's seen before. While Morgan prepares to launch the most advanced robot boy of her career, June's investigation sparks a journey through the underbelly of Seoul, unearthing deeper mysteries about the history of their country and their family. And the 3 siblings must find their way back to each other to reckon with their past and the future ahead of them in this poignant and remarkable exploration of what it really means to be human. So that actually does sound good. It's actually on my wish list and I would really like to read it, so I'm going to grab that at some point. Next is Nicholas Binge, I think it's Binge, possibly Bingy. Rhymes with Vingy. Dissolution with 2,179 votes. That's at number 19. And I've heard of this. I don't know if I've heard of it because it's said to be bad or if I've heard of it because it's said to be good. I've not read anything else by Nicholas Binge. So let's see. A woman dives into her husband's memories to uncover a decades-old feud threatening reality itself in a staggering techno-thriller from the best-selling author of Ascension. That's not In Ascension by Martin McGuinness. That's a different book entirely. Maybe it's Ascension that I've heard of, actually. I think it probably is. Maggie Webb has lived the last decade caring for her elderly husband, Stanley, as memory loss gradually erases all the beautiful moments that they created together. It's the loneliest that she's ever felt in her life. When a mysterious stranger named Hassan appears at her door, he reveals a shocking truth. Stanley isn't losing his memories. Someone is actively removing them to hide a long-buried secret from coming to light. And if Maggie does what she's told, she can reverse it. She can get her husband back. Led by Hassan and his technological marvels, Maggie breaks into her husband's mind, probing the depths of his past in an effort to save him. The deeper she dives, the more she unravels a mystery spanning continents and centuries, each layer more complex than the last. But Hassan cannot be trusted. Not just memories are disappearing, but pieces of reality itself. If Maggie cannot find out what Stanley did all those years ago and what Hassan is after now, she risks far more than her husband's life, and the very course of human history hangs in the balance, as it so often does. Well, I really like the sound of that, so we're 2 for 2 so far. I'm having a good time. Right, number 18 is Salt Crop by Yumi Kitase with 2,850 votes. And Yumi appeared in last year's poll with Stardust Grail, I think it was called, which was something that I like the sound of, but I haven't got around to getting a copy. So in Salt Crop then, in Earth's not too distant future, seas consume coastal cities, highways disintegrate underwater, and mutant fish lurk in pirate-controlled depths. Skipper, a skilled sailor and the youngest of 3 sisters, earns money skimming and reselling plastic from the ocean to care for her ailing grandmother. But then her eldest sister, Nora, goes missing. Nora left home a decade ago in pursuit of a cure for failing crops all over the world. So it sounds very cheerful, doesn't it? When Skipper and her other sister, Carmen, receive a cryptic plea for help, they must put aside their differences and set out across the sea to find and save her. And as they voyage through a dying world, both beautiful and strange, encountering other travellers along the way, they learn more about their sister's work and the corporations that want what she discovered. Well, I thought that was it. But there's more. But the further they go, the more uncertain their mission becomes. What dangerous attention did Nora attract, and how well do they really know their sister or each other? And thus begins an epic journey spanning oceans and continents, and wistful rumination on sisterhood, friendship, and ecological disaster. Well, I'm not sure I'm up for wistful rumination on sisterhood, friendship, and ecological disaster. I don't know. I think I probably want to read Stardust Grail, is it? First, by the same author. And then, if I see that one floating around out in the wild, then maybe I'll pick it up. Right, number 17, The Once and Future Me by Melissa Pace, and this has 2,857 votes. So we're sort of bumping along the bottom in terms of numbers of votes now. It does step up after a few books. So we're in Virginia, November the 12th, 1954. A young woman awakes, agitated and confused, that's me every morning, on a patient transport bus arriving at Hanover State Psychiatric Hospital. She remembers nothing of her life before that moment, none of the dark things that she's seen and done that have forged her into such a skilled and cunning fighter. Once she's been subdued, doctors explain that she's Dorothy Frazier, a paranoid schizophrenic committed by the state to Hanover for treatments that they hope will quell her increasingly violent and grandiose delusions. She's certain that they're wrong until disturbing visions begin to invade her reality, of a dystopian future where frantic scientists urge her to do whatever it takes to complete the mission and save humankind. And convinced it's Hanover causing the hallucinations, she tells no one, focusing only on escape. So far it's sounding a little bit like 12 Monkeys. Until there's a visitor, a man whose loving face and touch that she remembers, a man who knows all about her visions because he's spent years helping her cope with them, her husband, Paul Frazier. Now she's sure of nothing, caught between two possible lives, two realities. Believe in the future and that she might save the world, or believe in her doctors and Paul and she might save herself. She's desperate for answers, but to get them, she'll need to harness the darkness inside her, risking her freedom, her mind, and ultimately her harrowing quest for the truth. Well, all right, I would read that, I think. So that's 3 out of 4 so far. We're not doing too badly. At number 16, the next one is The Shattering piece, which I think I'm right in saying is the 7th book in the Old Man's War series, of which I've only read the first one. And that was many years ago. I don't remember a great deal about it. So it's by John Scalzi, of course, and this one has 2,942 votes. The piece is shattering, is what it says. For a decade, peace has reigned in interstellar space. A tripartite agreement between the colonial union, the Earth, and the alien conclave has kept the forces of war at bay, even when some would have preferred to return to the fighting and the struggle of former times. For now, more sensible heads have prevailed and have even championed unity. But now there's a new force that threatens the hard-maintained peace. The Consu, the most advanced intelligent species humans have ever met, are on the cusp of a species-defining civil war. And this war is between the Consu factions, but nothing the Consu ever do is just about them. The colonial union, the Earth and the conclave have been unwillingly dragged into the conflict in the most surprising of ways. Gretchen Trujillo is a mid-level diplomat working in an unimportant part of the colonial union bureaucracy. But when she's called to take part in a secret mission involving representatives from every powerful faction in space, what she finds there has the chance to redefine the destinies of humans and aliens alike, or destroy them forever. Well, it sounds suitably portentous. I'm not going to get it because I've only read the first one. I've still got 3 or 4 others in that series to read. But maybe if I plough my way through those and I enjoy them, maybe I'll tack on the Shattering piece to the end at some point. Not in a mad rush to get it, but that series has legions of fans, although not that many of them voted in the Goodreads poll, it seems. All right, what's next? Number 15 is Local Heavens by K.M. Fajardo with 3,323 votes. And what have we got here? A corporate hacker, an elusive billionaire, a society trying to survive the American nightmare. We're in New York City, 2075. Filipino-American Nick Carraway has just moved to the heart of the fractured New Americas, where he's struck by the city's contradictions, shining corporate towers, casting bleak shadows over the slums of a crumbling middle class. When Nick meets alluring new money Jay Gatsby, he falls... Oh, it's a retelling of the Great Gatsby. I rather fear it might be. He falls for Gatsby's frank charm and confident aura. But in a city where the wealthy flaunt tech-enhanced bodies to cheat death, surfaces aren't all that they seem. And as a corporate sanctions cyberspace hacker, Nick knows that no secret can stay buried forever. He's the reason they don't. And his latest assignment, investigate Gatsby himself. As Nick becomes entangled in the dark affairs of the elite and the devastating fallout of their actions on the city's most vulnerable, he must reckon with the limits of compassion and accountability across class and status. What takes precedence, truth or love, heart or soul? Yeah, I was right. A brilliant reimagining of Fitzgerald's classic tale of glamour, desire and desperation. Local Heavens examines the guardrails of morality and the price of desire. Not high on my list. That was a bit of a miss for me, I think. At number 14, with 3,651 votes, is Hammerjang Luck by Makana Yamamoto, which I have heard of, but I can't remember if I've heard of it because I didn't like the sound of it or because I did. Let's find out. So, Edie is done with crime. 8 years behind bars changes a person. Costs them too much time with too many of the people that they love the most. And it's all Angel's fault. She sold Edie out in what should have been the greatest moment of their lives. Instead, Edie was shipped off to an icy prison planet spinning far below the soaring sky bridges and neon catacombs of Kepler space station, of home, to spend the best part of a decade alone. But then the chance of an early parole appears out of nowhere, and Edie steps into the pallid sunlight to find none other than Angel awaiting. And she has an offer. One last job, one last deal, one last target. The trillionaire tech god they failed to bring down last time. There's just one thing that Edie needs to do. Trust Angel again, which also happens to be the last thing that Edie wants to do. What could possibly go all Hammerjang about this plan? I guess Hammerjang is a bad thing. I don't know. So it's billed here as Ocean's 8. What's Ocean's 8? Is that the ladies' version of Ocean's 11? I think it is. Yes, the wives and girlfriends. It's the wags version of Ocean's 11. Oh dear. Right, Ocean's 8. Actually, I quite enjoyed the movie, so what am I saying? Ocean's 8 meets Blade Runner in this trailblazing debut science fiction novel and swashbuckling... I can't fucking say it. Swashbuckling love letter to Hawaii about being forced to find a new home and striving to build a better one. Unmissable for fans of Gideon the Ninth and Six of Crows, whatever they are. So there's 2 books that I don't know. Six of Crows I might have heard of. All right, number 13, The Merge by Grace Walker, which has 3,919 votes. A thrilling and ominously prophetic debut set in a world when Earth and its resources have been pushed to breaking point, giving rise to a revolutionary and highly controversial procedure in which 2 people's consciousness can be combined to exist in one body. How far would you go to never say goodbye? Laurie is 65 and living with Alzheimer's, and her daughter Amelia, a once fiery and strong-willed activist, can't bear to see her mother's mind fade. Faced with the reality of losing her forever, Amelia signs them up to take part in the world's first experimental merging process for Alzheimer's patients, in which Laurie's ailing mind will be transferred into Amelia's healthy body and their consciousness will be blended as one. Soon, Amelia and Laurie join the opaque and mysterious group of other mergers. It's teenager Lucas, who plans to merge with his terminally ill brother, Ben, who will merge with his pregnant fiancée Annie, bit weird, and Jay, whose merging partner is his addict daughter Lara, and as they prepare to move to the village, a luxurious rehabilitation centre for those who have merged, they quickly begin to question whether everything is really as it seems. An exhilarating, immersive debut from an astonishing new voice. The Merge is a personal story of love, family and sacrifice, as well as a thought-provoking examination of the limits of control, of resistance and freedom in our modern world. So let's take a moment here to pause for a second. So what do you think? Do these sound like science fiction to you? So if you think that this is absolutely still science fiction, then drop a comment saying still SF and tell me why you think it counts. And if you feel like this is all drifting far too far away from core genre sci-fi, you can comment, where's the science? I'm genuinely interested to see where people draw the line. And there's no right or wrong answers here. After all, the definition of science fiction, certainly the manifestation of it, has always evolved. And I think it's easy to forget that sometimes. All right, let's go back to the list. At number 12 is The Memory Collectors by Dete Mise. I'm probably pronouncing this wrong. Dete Miserve. You can read it. With 4,536 votes. And in this book, 4 strangers time travel to the past and find themselves stuck on the day all their lives were changed in this stunning speculative mystery from award-winning film and TV producer Dete Miserve, perfect for fans of Before the Coffee Gets Cold, Wrong Place, Wrong Time, and The Paradox Hotel, none of which I've heard of. What would you do if you could spend an hour in your past? Four strangers in the beach town of Ventura, California are about to find out. Elizabeth aches for one more precious hour with her son, who died in a senseless accident. Andy is desperate to find his first love, who vanished after a whirlwind romance. And Logan craves the rush of surfing and mountain climbing, yearning to reclaim the freedom he lost after a misstep landed him in a wheelchair. And Brooke is looking for an hour of relief from the guilt of an unforgivable mistake. Enter Eon Expeditions, the groundbreaking time travel invention of Mark Saunders, which allows some lucky clients the chance to spend an hour in their past. And even though Eon's technology ensures time travel can't alter the future, I've heard that before, all four clients, including Mark's ex-wife Elizabeth, yearn to revisit the hour that changed their lives forever. But when that hour extends beyond 60 minutes, they find themselves, imagine my surprise, stranded in the past. As their paths intertwine unexpectedly, they unearth shocking secrets hidden in the shadows of their shared experiences. All their lives were shattered the same night on a secluded highway by the beach. And as they delve into the hidden truths of that pivotal hour, a startling revelation emerges. They were not alone. Someone else was present, harbouring deadly intentions. The Memory Collectors is a heart-wrenching, genre-bending novel brimming with hope, grief and second chances. Maybe. I'm probably not going to rush out and buy it. There's 2 or 3 so far that I would go and buy. In the unlikely event that I found it on a charity shop shelf one day, I would probably get it. Right, at number 11, just outside the top 10. These Memories Do Not Belong to Us by Yiming Ma, with 5,768 votes. For fans of Cloud Atlas and The Power, a hauntingly beautiful and profoundly prescient debut set in a future where China is the sole global superpower and citizens can record and transfer memories between minds. It's a bit of a repetition between the books here, isn't there? When I was a boy, my mother used to tell me stories of a world before memories could be shared between strangers. Decades from now, the world is run by an authoritarian state called Quinn. And in Quinn, or possibly Kin, every citizen is fitted with the Mind Bank, an intracranial device capable not only of recording, but transferring memories between minds. The technology gives birth to a new economy referred to as memory capitalism, where anyone with means can relive the life experiences of others. It also unleashes opportunities for manipulation. Memories can be edited, marketed, and even corrupted for personal gain. Right, and I now want to share the memories of somebody that's read a lot more science fiction books than I have. It saved me reading them myself. But sadly, I'm not sure that this thing actually exists. Blah, blah, blah. It also unleashes opportunities for manipulation. Memories can be edited, marketed, and even corrupted for personal gain. When a man inherits his diseased mother's mind bank, a collection of memories from before, during and after the global war that landed Kin atop the international food chain, he's unsure what he'll find inside or whether the party has gotten to her memories first, altering the experiences she left for him. Either way, he's adamant that he must share them with the world before they're destroyed forever, and even if the cost of doing so is his own life. Powerful and provocative. Well, I guess, we'll be the judge of that. These Memories Do Not Belong to Us is a kaleidoscopic look into the ways in which government and media manipulate history and control our collective imagination. All right, let's see if there's actually any science in science fiction in the top 10. At number 10, a book that I not only have read but enjoyed, Shroud by Adrian Tchaikovsky. It's a new one from him this year, from February or March time this year, with 12,392 votes, so quite a big jump up from 11th place. They looked into the darkness and the darkness looked back. New planets are fair game to asset strippers and interplanetary opportunists. And actually that was an aspect of the book I quite like. It was a quite corporatist in an amusing sort of way. A bureaucracy in space, really. Where are we? And a commercial mission to a distant star system discovers a moon that is pitch black but alive with radioactivity. Its high gravity, high pressure, zero oxygen environment is anathema to human life, but ripe for exploitation, and they named it Shroud. Under no circumstances should a human end up on Shroud's inhospitable surface, except a catastrophic accident sees Juna Sealander and May St. Etienne doing just that. Forced to stage an emergency landing in a small and barely adequate vehicle, they're unable to contact their ship and are running out of time. What follows is a grueling journey across land, sea and air, and during this time Juna and May begin to understand Shroud's dominant species, and it also begins to understand them. If they escape Shroud, they'll face a crew only interested in profiteering from this extraordinary world, and they'll somehow have to explain the impossible and translate the incredible. That is, if they make it back at all. I really enjoyed it. And I think Tchaikovsky, one of his strengths is describing a completely different ecosystem and different biology. And I thought that aspect of it worked really well. I thought the pairing of Juna and May worked pretty well. The peril felt real, that high pressure and high gravity aspects of their stay on a shroud were done very well. And the interplay, such as it was, between the local biology, let's call it, and the human crew was also interesting. It was done really well. I quite enjoyed it. Number 9 then is I Think We've Been Here Before by Susie Krauss with 14,182 votes. With the end of the world predicted, reality bends in an unexpectedly quirky and heartwarming novel about human connection and the meaning of life and death by the best-selling author of Sorry I Missed You. Never heard of it. Marlon and Hilda Jorgensen's family has received 2 significant pieces of news. 1, Marlon has been diagnosed with a terminal illness. Sucks to be you, Marlon. And 2, a cosmic blast is set to render humanity extinct within a matter of months. Well, it sucks to be all of us then. It seems the coming Christmas on their Saskatchewan farm could be their last. Preparing for the inevitable, they navigate the time they have left together. Marlon and Hilda have channeled their energy into improbably prophetic works of art. Hilda's elderly father receives a longed-for visitor from his past. Hilda's teenage nephew goes missing, and his mother refuses to believe that the world is ending. And all the while, Hilda's daughter struggles to find her way home from Berlin with the help of an oddly familiar stranger. For everyone, there's an unsettling feeling that this unprecedented reality is something they remember. Well, I actually quite like the sound of that. I do. So I might well find myself a copy of that. Number 8 is Automatic Noodle by Anna Lee Newitz with 15,233 votes. I did recently see someone describe this as the worst book they've ever read. So it's not much of a recommendation, but let's see what it's about. Whilst San Francisco rebuilds from the chaos of war, a group of food service bots, here we go, bots again, in an abandoned ghost kitchen take over their own delivery app account. They rebrand as a neighbourhood lunch spot and start producing some of the tastiest hand-pulled noodles in the city. But there's just one problem. Someone or something is review bombing the restaurant's feedback page with fake bad service reports. Can the bots find the culprit before their ratings plummet and destroy everything they created? What? Nope. Nope. At number 7, When the Moon Hits Your Eye by John Scalzi with 17,184 votes, his second appearance in this list. And I'm almost allergic to the very notion of this book. I don't know if it's any good, but the premise for this is what would really happen if suddenly the moon were replaced by a giant wheel of cheese. It's a whole new moon. Now, as premises go for a book, that's only slightly more ridiculous than the premise for Seven Eves by Neil Stevenson, in which the moon falls apart on in the first sentence, really. So I suppose I shouldn't be too dismissive of it. So where are we? One day soon, suddenly and without explanation, the moon as we know it is replaced with an orb of cheese with the exact same mass. Through the length of an entire lunar cycle, from new moon to a spectacular and possibly final solar eclipse, we follow multiple characters, school kids and scientists, billionaires and workers, preachers and politicians, as they confront the strange new world they live in and the absurd, impossible moon that now hangs above all their lives. So you're going to have to tell me, if you've read this, you need to let me know, is it any good and should I read it? Or, am I being completely unreasonable? And actually, that's true for any of these. If you've read any of these, or if you like the sound of them, then you can let me know in the comments. Number 6, then, Of Monsters and Mainframes by Barbara Truelove with 20,079 votes. Demeter just wants to do her job, shuttling humans between Earth and Alpha Centauri. Unfortunately, her passengers keep dying, and not from equipment failures, as her AI medical system steward would have her believe. These are paranormal murders, and they begin when one nasty ancient vampire decided to board Demeter and kill all her humans. Demeter's the ship. I assumed it was a captain, but no, it's a ship. To keep from getting decommissioned, Demeter must join forces with her own team. A werewolf, an engineer built from the dead, a pharaoh with otherworldly powers, a vampire with a grudge, a fleet of cheerful spider drones, and together this motley crew will face down the ultimate evil, Dracula. Well, this sounds utterly shit to me. But the queer love child of pulp horror and classic sci-fi, of Monsters and Mainframes, is a dazzling, heartfelt odyssey that probes what it means to be one of society's monsters and explores the many types of friendship that make us human. It doesn't work for me, or it doesn't sound like it does. Again, if you've read it and you think it's the best thing since sliced bread, then let me know. Number 5, The Dream Hotel by Layla. This has got too many L's in it, I can't say it. The Dream Hotel by Layla Lalami, 21,896 votes. A novel about one woman's fight for freedom, set in a near future where even dreams are under surveillance. Sarah has just landed at LAX, returning home from a conference abroad, when agents from the Risk Assessment Administration pull her aside and inform her that she will soon commit a crime. Sounds strangely familiar. Minority Report, anyone? Using data from her dreams, the RIA's algorithm has determined that she's at imminent risk of harming the person that she loves the most, her husband. For his safety, she must be kept under observation for 21 days. The agents transfer Sarah to a retention centre where she's held with other dreamers, all of them women, trying to prove their innocence from different crimes. And I'm beginning to wonder if my wife is dreaming dreams like this. With every deviation from the strict and ever-shifting rules of the facility, their stay is extended. Months pass and Sarah seems no closer to release. Then one day, a new resident arrives, disrupting the order of the facility and leading Sarah on a collision course with the very companies that have deprived her of her freedom. Eerie, urgent, and ceaselessly clear-eyed, apparently, The Dream Hotel artfully explores the seductive nature of technology, which puts us in shackles even as it makes our lives easier. Lalami asks how much of ourselves must remain private if we are to remain free, and whether even the most invasive forms of surveillance can ever capture who we really are. To me, there's a bit of a thread running through quite a few of these novels of technology gone mad, of human hubris in unleashing technology on the world without really thinking through the consequences of it. And I suppose that's probably rooted in anxiety about AI as the soup du jour at the moment, isn't it? So maybe there's an element of that. Right, so number 4 is Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor, which I do have a copy of. I was given an ARC for it, and very naughtily I haven't actually read it, and certainly I haven't reviewed it. So it's sitting neglected on my shelves. And this one has 30,919 votes. Where are we? Life has thrown Zilu some curveballs over the years, but when she's suddenly dropped from her university job and her latest novel is rejected, all in the middle of her sister's wedding, her life is upended. Disabled, unemployed, and from a nosy, high-achieving and judgmental family, she's not sure what comes next. In her hotel room that night, she takes the risk that will define her life. She decides to write a book very unlike her others, a science fiction drama about androids and AI, here we go again, after the extinction of humanity, and everything changes. What follows is a tale of love and loss, of fame and infamy, of extraordinary events in one world and another. And as Zulu's life evolves, the lines between fiction and reality begin to blur, because sometimes a story really does have the power to reshape the world. When I first heard of this book, I quite like the idea of reading it, which is why I asked for a review copy in the first place. So I suppose I should get around to it at some point. It's obviously done fairly well. It's number 4. And number 3 is The Poppy Fields by Nikki Ehrlich with 37,483 votes. Welcome to the Poppy Fields, where there's hope for even the most battered hearts to heal. Here, in a remote stretch of the California desert, lies an experimental and controversial treatment centre that allows those suffering from the heartache of loss to sleep through their pain and keep on sleeping. After patients awaken from this prolonged state of slumber, they will finally be healed, but only if they're willing to accept the potential shadowy side effects. And there's always a catch. On a journey to this mystical destination are 4 very different strangers and one little dog. Ava, a book illustrator; Ray, a fireman; Sasha, an occupational therapist; Sky, a free spirit; and a friendly pup named PJ. And as they attempt to make their way from the Midwest all the way west to the poppy fields, where they hope to find Ellis, its brilliant and enigmatic founder, each of their past secrets and mysterious motivations threaten to derail their voyage. In a high-concept speculative novel about heartache, hope, and human resilience, The Poppy Fields explores the path of grief and healing, a journey at once profoundly universal and unique to every person, posing the questions: how do we heal in the wake of great loss? And how far are we willing to go in order to be healed? Don't fancy that, really. Tell me if it floats your boat. At number 2 is The Book of Lost Hours by Hayley Gelfuso with 40,446 votes. And in this book, we enter the time space, a soaring library filled with books containing the memories of those who have passed, and accessed only by specially made watches passed from father to son, but mostly now in government hands. This is where 11-year-old Lisavette Levy finds herself trapped in 1938, waiting for her watchmaker father to return for her. When he doesn't, she grows up amongst the books and the spectres, able to see the world only by sifting through the memories of those who came before her. Now she realises that government agents are entering the time space to destroy books and maintain their preferred version of history. She sets about saving those scraps in her own volume of memories, until the appearance of an American spy named Ernest Duquesne in 1949 offers her a glimpse of the world that she left behind, setting her on a course to change history and possibly the time-space itself. I'll let you in on a little secret. I actually quite like the sound of this. Maybe it's a bit YA, I don't know. In 1965, 16-year-old Amelia Duquesne is mourning the disappearance of her uncle Ernest, whilst an enigmatic CIA agent approaches her to enlist her help in tracking down the book of memories her uncle had once sought. But when Amelia visits the time space for the first time, she realises that the past and the truth might not be as linear as she'd like to believe. The Book of Lost Hours explores time, memory, and what we sacrifice to protect those we love. Yeah, like I say, I don't hate the sound of that. I think I would quite like to read that. So, what is at the top of the heap then? Does it involve any spaceships? I strongly suspect that it does not. At number 1 is The Compound by Aisling Rawle with 45,287 votes. Lily, a bored, beautiful 20-something, wakes up on a remote desert compound alongside 19 other contestants on a popular reality TV show. To win, she must outlast her housemates whilst competing in challenges for luxury rewards, such as champagne and lipstick, and communal necessities to outfit their new home, like food and appliances and a front door. It sounds like my worst nightmare. The cameras are catching all of her angles, good and bad, but Lily has no desire to leave. Why would she, when the world outside is falling apart? As the competition intensifies, intimacy between players deepens, and it becomes increasingly difficult to distinguish between desire and desperation. When the producers raise the stakes, of course they would, forcing contestants into upsetting, even dangerous situations, the line between playing the game and surviving it begins to blur. If Lily makes it to the end, she'll receive prizes beyond her wildest dreams, but what will she have to do to win? Addictive and prescient, The Compound is an explosive debut from a major new voice in fiction, not science fiction, and will linger in your mind long after the game ends. Well, that sounds like I just don't do reality TV. I don't watch Love Island, I don't watch Big Brother, and this sounds like a disappointing mashup of both of those. So I'm underwhelmed by The Compound, I fear. So let me know what you thought. Are there any that grabbed you, that you think might float your boat, that you might want to get hold of? There's only a few, probably a handful actually, probably more than most years that I've looked at this, where I am intrigued enough to want to read it. I'm intrigued enough to go and buy a copy for a start, and then ultimately to read it. But let me know where you landed in the comments down below. As always, thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye for now.